So part of me wants to say that every single night we get a Monday Night Raw run by Shane McMahon makes the cage match at WrestleMania with The Undertaker more and more and more pointless. But a larger part of me wants to say, look at a Raw like tonight, and if this is the Raw we're going to get, I really don't care. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check here with your April 11th Raw review. Raw coming tonight out of Atlanta, or not out of Atlanta, out of Los Angeles, because I can speak, I swear. From the Staples Center, which is where up until last year they had many SummerSlams. And agree with me or not, they're kind of starting to treat the Staples Center like a Madison Square Garden in a certain degree, where even if it's a regular Raw show, they make it sound like it's more special. They usually put a couple of extra things into a show if it's at the Staples Center, which is kind of cool because, I mean, Madison Square Garden isn't... I don't know how to say this. Madison Square Garden is where you picture WrestleMania happening, but after WrestleMania happening in a place like the stadium that it took place in Texas, Madison Square Garden is going to be used for some other things. Madison Square Garden used to be a mecca of sports entertainment, and it feels like WWE gives the Staples Center the same vibe, which I have no problem with. It just sort of seems out of the blue. It seems like they really try to tap into that Hollywood aspect of it as well. The show starts off with Shane McMahon. I mean, I watched the pre-show. The only two things we knew going into this show were Charlotte and Natty are going to have a women's title match tonight, which is fine. I would rather them get it out of the way on Raw than on a pay-per-view, but, you know, we'll get into it later on, but I think it's going to happen again. I don't want this match on a pay-per-view. They're both great. Get into that in a minute. And the other thing is, if you're paying attention to social media, Shane McMahon's going to run Raw. So, because of the overwhelming popularity of Shane McMahon, he's going to be running Raw again tonight. But he was overwhelmingly popular from the day he returned. So, as I said in my little preamble there, makes the Hell in the Cell match with The Undertaker relatively moot, does it not? Anyways, comes out, talks about the social media support that he's gotten from the fans and how it's all great and wonderful and it's good to be back and it's good to be back in LA and it's good to be back in the Staples Center and rah. Talks about this new era that we're going into with new stars and fresh matches. We're going to get Natty versus Charlotte for the women's title tonight, which is great. We're starting off a tag team tournament. The winners are going to be the new #1 contenders for New Day's tag team championships. He congratulates AJ Styles for winning the Fatal 4-Way last week and becoming the #1 contender for Roman Reigns' title, but then he turns his attention to Sami Zayn, who was basically robbed of the opportunity by Kevin Owens. So he says, not only are we getting Zayn versus Styles tonight, which is an indie fan's dream match, but if Zayn gets the win, he will be added to the match and it will be a triple threat match at Payback. So we're all set to go. Kevin Owens interrupts. He freaks out about Sami Zayn getting another opportunity. He doesn't deserve the shot. I'm getting screwed over here. I was robbed at WrestleMania. I wasn't pinned last week, so I was robbed last week. I never got a rematch for my IC title, and I demand one tonight because, you know, Kevin Owens versus The Miz. Yeah. Shane says you don't just get to walk in here. This is a new regime. You don't just get to come in here and demand title opportunities. But what I will do is make you fight for it. He says, I'll make you fight a guy that I saw in the back. He's been running laps around the building since 2 o'clock this afternoon. Obviously brings out Cesaro. Says if you beat this guy, you get to be the #1 contender for The Miz's Intercontinental Championship. And the match is happening about right stat now. So, Owens versus Cesaro is your first match. Owens hides in the ropes when the match starts. Collar and elbow tie up and a takedown by Cesaro. Owens bails, collar and elbow tie up again. Side headlock by Cesaro. Side headlock by Owens, who shouts out, I have the better headlock, which is great. Both men trade punches and uppercuts and elbows for a while. Owens works the shoulder with 2 takedowns. And what's the word I'm looking for? The psychology from this point on from Kevin Owens is great because it's all on Cesaro's shoulder. His shoulder's still taped up from the tricep shoulder, whatever it was, surgery that he had that kept him away forever and ever and ever and made everybody cry. But Owens' psychology from here on in is fucking great. Owens knees the shoulder. No, Owens steps on the shoulder. Puts on a key lock. Forearm by Cesaro, but Owens answers with a takedown and another key lock. Doesn't get flashy. Doesn't really get various with his offense. Just makes it blatantly obvious that I'm going to fuck up your shoulder, which is great. sick as usual, so if I sound gross, I'm sorry. Both men trade punches and headbutts. Uppercut by Cesaro, boot by Owens, and another uppercut by Cesaro. Uppercut trained by Cesaro and a dropkick. Cesaro eats turnbuckle and post. Both shoulder first, working on the shoulder. It's a simple story, and it makes me a happy, happy kid. After the commercial break, gut wrench superplex by Cesaro, and both men trade punches after the fall. The swing fails, and a double stomp by Cesaro hits the mark. A boot by Cesaro and a top rope crossbody. Owens rolls through into a crossface, which gets countered into a sharpshooter by Cesaro. Super kick by Owens, and a huge, successful frog splash by Kevin. Kevin Owens doing the frog splash is really just. If anybody remembers Viscera, it's got to be like watching Viscera come off the top rope onto somebody. Kevin Owens should not be as agile as he is for the size of a guy he is. But Kevin Owens coming off the top rope with propulsion in a move like a frog splash would be terrifying. Yes, wrestling is kayfabe. Yes, it is choreographed. It is scripted. You know what's going to happen and you know how to do it properly. Doesn't change the fact that if I was in Cesaro's position, I'd be kind of terrified. Springboard uppercut by Cesaro. The swing fails once again. Cesaro eats turnbuckle. Pop-up powerbomb is countered into a roll-up, is countered into the neutralizer, and Cesaro gets the win. Kind of disappointed, actually. I know Cesaro's back. I know everybody's happy to see him back. But this just reinforces what is something that is really, really annoying to me personally, and you guys can hate me for this if you want, and know before everybody shits a fucking brick, I'm not shitting on Cesaro here. This is a generic trend in WWE that really drives me nuts, and that is, if you want to get a title shot, you either work your butt off, win some #1 contenders matches, get into a decent storyline, and get a title shot, or you get injured and come back. Because literally that's all Cesaro has done. Cesaro was introduced last week, immediately thrown into a fatal four-way for the world title #1 contendership. Now he's got a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. I don't begrudge the guy his success. Don't get me wrong, but being injured does not make you a #1 contender, and that's just how it is. We see a bullshit. Okay, I'm gonna say this really quickly. Dr. Phil was on Raw tonight. I don't give a fuck. But he's in the back. He's giving a pep talk to Charlotte, who he puts her over. She's a great talent. Rah. I know you've busted your ass to get here, but now your dad's corrupted you. He's made you this bad, evil person. You should go out on your own. Basically, trying to be the moral center of the segment, and nobody cares because Dr. Phil has nothing to do with wrestling. If it was Dr. Shelby, I would almost be okay with it being Dr. Shelby, because Dr. Shelby was at least a wrestling story creation. But anyways, Shane confronts Kevin Owens in the back, who's freaking out about losing the match, says he's going to fuck up Sami Zayn later tonight, and Shane says, well, no you're not, I'm in charge, and you're leaving the building. So that's that. New Day comes out. They cut a promo about how great they are. They cut a promo putting over the rest of the tag team division, which is kind of nice. They go into further detail about the tag team #1 contendership tournament, and they reveal the brackets for the first round matches for this tournament. Usos versus the Social Outcasts, the Golden Truth versus the Vaudevillains, Enzo and Cass versus the Ascension, and the Lucha Dragons versus the Dudley Boyz. And then I figured they would stay on commentary for the next match because this is the first match in the tournament, but they don't. We go to commercial break. We come back from commercial break, and I don't know whether this was an editing botch or what, but we come back, the match is already happening, and Kalisto's down on the outside looking like he's legitimately injured. Basically, the doctors are seeing to Kalisto on the outside. We see over the commercial break that he just took a bad fall out of the ring. Now, whether this is kayfabe or whether this is real, I don't know. The luchadors are kind of injury prone. I'm just putting that one out there. But Sin Cara basically has to go it alone. Slam by Bubba on Sin Cara. Neck vice by Devon. Boot and chops by Sin Cara. Another slam by Devon. Forearm shots and a boot by Bubba. Kicks and chops and a crossbody on Devon by Sin Cara. Springboard back elbow by Sin Cara. Second rope moonsault. And the Dudleys no-sell it. 3D and Dudleys get the win. Oh, yes. But that's not the point. That's not the point. The Lucha Dragons don't matter in this segment because Enzo and Cass come out. Enzo has a jacket that says Smack Talker Skywalker on it, referencing one of his digs from last week. They talk a lot. Dudley Boyz go into the whole veteran, if it wasn't for us, there'd be no you. We created guys like you. Enzo's response of, I was created because my parents got it on, how you doing, is fucking perfect. Here's the deal. Because Enzo is so good on the mic, it really, really highlights how Colin Cassidy is not. So if he could just be... If you remember, because they on the pre-show they interviewed them, and they talked about how they were compared to the New Age Outlaws and Roddy Raw. If you remember the New Age Outlaws, Road Dogg did the whole shtick, and Billy Gunn literally did the "I've got 2 words for you, suck it." If Cass sticks to only doing the SAWFT soft thing, then that's cool. But when he tries to get into a super intense promo, he makes himself look like a bit of a goofball, which is unfortunate because I like this team and they are over as fuck, so they're fun to watch. But I would rather see Enzo on the mic. I'd rather see Colin Cassidy destroy somebody in the ring while Enzo talks about it on the mic, if I'm completely honest with you. We're gonna get these guys at some point. These guys are gonna be the finale of this tournament. I'm really... I don't know, I hope it goes to a draw so we get Enzo and Cass versus the New Day versus the Dudleys down the road, because that would be a match I would want to see. We see video footage of Owens leaving the building, telling off the security, Roddy Raw. We have a segment that I can't really describe to you guys. As I make it perfectly obvious that my sinuses are fucked like usual. Roman comes out, cuts the same promo from last week, really talks about, I'm not a bad guy, I'm not a good guy, I'm just the guy. Talks about Payback, talks about his match versus AJ Styles, or the fact that it could be a triple threat match. Puts them over, kind of. They've been successful everywhere else, but they've never been the guy. They've never fought for the title. He's cut off by the League of Nations for reasons. The only connection between Roman Reigns and the League of Nations was when the League of Nations were working for the Authority, and the Authority's been virtually absent since WrestleMania, so this really doesn't make any sense at all. You wouldn't be as confident if you were facing one of us. We eliminated our weakest link last week. You're not so good looking. Rusev could be the face of the WWE, and any one of us could beat you on any given day. The Wyatts come out, and for reasons, the Wyatts and Roman Reigns together clear the ring of the League of Nations. Bray and Roman have a stare down. Shane McMahon comes out and announces our main event tonight. League of Nations are going to pick 2 representatives, and they're going to go up against the team of Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt. And I smell shenanigans. I declare it now. But that's the main event, and we're not there yet. We got the lame-ass live from Puerto Rico promos for Epico and Primo, which is great, I guess. Epico and Primo are back. They're not Los Matadors, which is something... Don't know what happened to El Torito. Also, don't care if I'm completely honest. Charlotte versus Natty for the WWE Women's Championship. Dr. Phil on commentary, and again, I just have to say, why am I supposed to care? He really doesn't add anything to the exchange. And Byron Saxton pretending that he's super excited to be interviewing Dr. Phil about this Women's Championship match is just sad. Anyways, the match is good. The match is what you would expect from these two. It's technically fucking amazing. Both of these girls need a personality transplant, so I'm not invested in the match. But as far as just sitting down and watching 2 women wrestle, it was a great match. Test of strength to start off, collar and elbow tie-up, and a leg lace by Natty. Another collar and elbow and a 2-handed choke by Natty. The 2-handed choke slam by Natty is a good version of the 2-handed choke bomb that the Great Khali used to do. The good version of that. Natty tries and fails in an armbar. Natty throws Charlotte's face into the mat super hard. Basically, Charlotte tries to boot her. She grabs the foot, swings it around so Charlotte's face hits the mat. Chops in a neck breaker to Charlotte and 2 knee drops as we go to commercial break. Figure 4 headlock facebuster thing by Charlotte. Cross arm breaker by Natty, and a figure 4 by Charlotte, where the commentators go into supercell mode, reminding you that it's only the figure 4, not the figure 8. Basically telling you that she's not going to tap out to the figure 4, which is shitty. What's great, though, is we get a little bit of counter wrestling, and Charlotte locks the sharpshooter on friggin' Natalya Neidhart, which makes me pop, makes the crowd pop, and the commentators again go nuts. Both ladies trade chops and punches. German suplex and a discus clothesline by Natty, showing off like the whole power versus technique. They're developing a little bit of a story. The chemistry, like I say, the workers in the ring are great, but I don't care about either character, which hurts it a lot. Boot by Charlotte and exploder suplex. Charlotte's moonsault misses and a sharpshooter by Natty, which would have got the win if Ric Flair didn't pull the referee out of the ring and cause a disqualification. Now, because it's a disqualification, I said before this match happened, I'm glad they did this on Raw instead of on a pay-per-view, because I really don't want to see this on a pay-per-view. But we got a bit of a fugazi finish, so we're probably going to get this match at Payback, aren't we? Anyways, Usos versus Axel and Slater representing the Social Outcasts in the tag team tournament bracket number 1. I have to say, I really enjoyed Axel and Slater in this match. They're the two that I like. I mean, Adam Rose is an interesting character, and Bo Dallas can just go away. All due respect to he and Bray and their family and their loss this week, R.I.P. and all that sort of thing, doesn't make me interested in him as a character. What he was in NXT was accepted because at the time NXT could do no wrong. That's about it. I think even in NXT, if you tried to do the Bo Dallas gimmick now, it would fall on its face. I'm sorry, but that's just a thing. Chops by Jimmy on Axel to start. Double team by the Usos. A running knee to Jay's head by Curtis Axel. And a mudhole stomp. Snap vertical suplex by Slater and a mudhole. Corner choke by Axel and a snapmare and another headlock. Knee to the head and a drop kick by Axel. A low corner drop kick by Slater. An elbow by Axel. A leg lariat by Slater. They've fully got the advantage. They are fully smoking the Usos in this whole match. And then they dive out of the ring and do the victory lap with Bo Dallas for reasons, and Jimmy gets a roll up for the win, and the Usos advance. But again, much like the Dudley's scenario, this really isn't the story of the match. The story of the match is out from the crowd come two big bald guys you may or may not have heard of, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Now, I don't watch New Japan. You guys know this. I don't watch the indies. I know who Luke Gallows is from his days of being Festus and his days in the Straight Edge Society with CM Punk. But I would have to be deaf to not hear the rumors and rumors and rumors and rumors and rumors and rumors and rumors of the Bullet Club coming, or at least 2 members of the Bullet Club, which, to the best of my understanding, is New Japan's ripoff of the NWO. Am I wrong in that? Am I right on that? I know Finn Balor was in there for a while. I know AJ Styles was in there for a while. I know the Young Bucks, who I was briefly a fan of in TNA, are over there, and a couple other people that I've vaguely heard of. But when people say the Bullet Club is coming over, it would be like, but only 2 of them are coming. It would be like if Scott Norton and Buff Bagwell came to WWE and said, we got the NWO. But I will say, these guys are both built like brick shithouses, and they own the fuck out of the Usos, as you want to in your debut. Problem is, it's a debut for Carl Anderson. I know who Luke Gallows is already, and you're not debuting them as the Bullet Club. They just referred to them as Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and they're a tag team. And their finisher, which is basically an assisted DDT, is called the Magic Killer. And I swear to God, if that's their tag team name, I'm not going to stop making fun of them. They made a good impact, but they just made a good impact as 2 big guys that came out of the crowd, not as this big team that's either got these ties to Finn Balor or got these ties to AJ Styles. They're just another team that's there and look impressive, but with all the hype that we've gotten through the dirt sheets and through friends of mine on social media who are familiar with New Japan and ROH and all those types of places, although it was very impressive, it did fall a bit flat. I'm not gonna lie. Here's my question. I know that New Japan owns the name Bullet Club. I know that Bullet Club is still a thing, an entity that exists in Japan. I know that the WWE has played around with the name Balor Club. Finn Balor has the t-shirts in NXT, Balor Club Worldwide, Bulletproof Balor Club, and all that sort of thing. But therein lies the problem. You cannot name your faction on the main roster after a guy if that guy is still in NXT. So are these guys just going to be Anderson and Gallows? Are they going to be the Magic Killers, which is really lame? I'm 50-50 on this because I thought it was going to be something more impactful storyline-wise, and it wasn't. Physically, they're imposing as hell. Luke Gallows looks a hell of a lot better and a hell of a lot more relevant than he did when he was a member of the Aces and Eights. I will give him that much. But it's a proper 50-50, my reaction to their debut. No offense to those 2 guys. They look like they're great. They look like they could do a lot of damage. I want them to show me more. And I wish they had debuted on the post-Mania Raw so that we would have a week to process them being there so that Shane McMahon could excuse, infusing them into this tournament. Because, I mean, let's be real. Who thinks the Ascension is going to do anything? And, maybe we might not have to force the fact that Golden Truth is a thing. Styles versus Zayn, and I took minimal notes for this because this was just a fun match to watch. It was very slow in the beginning, and lots of arm drags. I'm just putting that one out there. Test of strength to start, an armbar by Zayn, and then an armbar by Styles. Chain wrestling sequence, a stalemate, and a pin reversal sequence. Collar and elbow tie-up, armbar by Zayn, and then one by Styles. Arm drag into an armbar by Zayn, and 3 more arm drags. Collar and elbow tie-up, a head and shoulder takedown by Styles, a chops in the corner by Zayn, a collar and elbow tie-up once again, drop kick by Styles, chops in the corner by Styles, snap vertical suplex by Styles, who rides a headlock. Forearm smash and a running knee by Styles. Zayn dumps Styles out of the ring and then hits a suicide flipping senton over the top rope as we go to commercial break. It looks really nice. It's not a suicide dive, a suicide plancha, maybe? Am I fucking up my terminology? Honestly, if I am, let me know down in the box below. Coming back from the commercial break, AJ Styles has Sami Zayn in a grounded side headlock. Crazy punches and kicks and a running forearm by Styles. Pump handle gutbuster by Styles, which really looks like it hurts. Top rope crossbody by Zayn and a top rope tornado DDT to follow that up. Pele kick by Styles, Blue Thunder Bomb by Zayn, calf crusher by Styles, phenomenal forearm by Styles, and he gets the win. I would have bet the way they set this up that this would have been the way to introduce Sami Zayn into the main event scene, or there would have been some shenanigans, or if he wasn't going to win, that he was going to have another incident with Kevin Owens getting back in the building somehow or whatever, but he just lost straight up, which I don't have a problem with, but I'm sure a lot of other people do. Twitter blew up, they were all pissed off, and da-da-da-da-da, and it's like, okay, for a hot minute, you guys were excited about AJ Styles. Now Sami Zayn comes up and all of a sudden it's fuck AJ Styles. That doesn't work. Would I have loved to see Sami Zayn infused in this match? Yes, but I'm not. This isn't going to be Daniel Bryan #2 where, you know, everybody gets upset at the minute he loses a match. Because losing can happen. This is a thing. This is a thing that can happen. Losing can happen to your people. And it doesn't hurt, especially because Sami Zayn is that lovable underdog. He calls himself an underdog. He calls him what's his moniker? He uses the underdog from the underground or something like that. So if you want to call him an underdog, he's going to lose a match here and there. And if he's losing to AJ Styles, it's a lot better than him losing to John Cena, isn't it? At the end of the day. Didn't take any notes for this whatsoever. Jericho comes out, says he's going to host an impromptu highlight reel, and he's going to interview the best, you know, most impressive entertainer in the world, Roddy Raw. Basically, he goes through a whole rigmarole to basically say he's going to interview himself. He pats himself on the back for a couple of minutes before he's interrupted by Ambrose, who comes out with a potted plant and a cardboard sign. And he puts the cardboard sign over the ridiculously expensive Geritron 5000 that says Ambrose Asylum. He hands Chris Jericho a note from Shane McMahon that says that Jericho's highlight reel has been canceled. It's being replaced by the Ambrose Asylum. His first guest is going to be Chris Jericho, and his big riveting first question is, what's the deal with that scarf? Jericho does almost like a Miz type of deal where he goes into the fact that his scarf was $750. Goes on a big ramble. Ambrose just sort of listens to him with a clip-on tie, clip to his T-shirt, and says, "So you're not going to tell us about the scarf?" Hits him with the dirty deeds, and that's about it. Nothing. Cut and paste. As soon as Jericho went out there and says, "There's nobody else to face me. There's nobody else to face me. There's nobody else to face me," you kind of think in the back of your head, okay, Lesnar's gone for a while. The one guy that doesn't really have anybody to dance with right now is Ambrose. We're going to get Ambrose versus Jericho. I'm okay with that. The fact that the setup was kind of paint by numbers doesn't even hurt my feelings, because Ambrose, Jericho at Payback, carry it over one more pay-per-view and let these guys have some sort of stipulation match at Extreme Rules. I've already got the WWE Network, so it's not going to cost me anything, but figuratively speaking, shut up and take my money. It's all good. We get it announced on SmackDown that the last 2 bracket matches of the tag team tournament are going to happen on SmackDown Thursday for most of you, Wednesday for me. Golden Truth versus the Vaudevillains, and the Ascension versus Enzo and Cass. So, you know, the Vaudevillains and Enzo and Cass are moving on in that. Apollo Crews takes on Adam Rose, and really, there's nothing much to say. Apollo Crews is impressive. Adam Rose is very much Adam Rose. The last sequence is kind of cool. Rolling clothesline, corner splash, high back elbow, all by Crews. Enziguri, toss, powerbomb. Crews gets the win. Apollo Crews is impressive as hell. Anybody that has gone over to the Black Hat Feline channel and heard the NXT reviews that she and I do on her channel occasionally, we've talked nothing but good things about Apollo Crews, but put him in there against somebody I care about. When Titus O'Neil gets off his suspension, and no, I'm not making any jokes about that, even though I could, have Apollo Crews versus Titus O'Neil. It could be good. Anyways, the main event is Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns versus Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio. I go into this match thinking something fucked up has to happen. Something fucked up has to happen because they wouldn't. WWE, in their infinite wisdom, would not just have Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns be a functional tag team. Would they? Would they? Would they? Anyways, headlock on Sheamus by Bray to start and a clothesline by Bray. Bray and Sheamus trade clubbing blows in the middle of the ring that just looked like two big friggin' pissed off gorillas going at each other. Roman and Bray double team, surprisingly enough, and the 10 corner lariats by Roman, clothesline by Bray, and a kitchen sink by Sheamus. Irish curse by Sheamus and a knee drop by Alberto Del Rio, which was probably, now that I think about it, more likely to be a double stomp. Mounted 10 punch by Bray on Alberto Del Rio. Double mudhole stomp by the heels is great. Sheamus rides a headlock. Wyatt tosses out Sheamus. Rolling clotheslines by Roman Reigns and a boot by Sheamus. Roman eats the post on the outside twice, head first, both times. It's not good. Sheamus brings him back up into the ring for the Ted beats the Bower and gets into about 5. Hits him in the ribs to sell, to show that Roman Reigns is not, completely impervious to pain. Gives him a couple shots in the ribs, hooks him back up, gets the rest of the 10 beats, which is cool. Tags in Alberto Del Rio. Step up enziguri by Alberto Del Rio off the apron, and then a suplex by Roman Reigns once he gets back in the ring. Corner shoulder by Sheamus, Samoan drop by Roman, corner splash by Bray, running senton and a crossbody by Bray. Roman eats the steps on the outside, backstabber by Alberto Del Rio on Bray Wyatt. The lights go out. Lights come back on. Strowman and Rowan are there, but they're not going after Roman Reigns as I suspected they might. They're just taking out the third guy on the outside, poor guy, Rusev, getting the shit kicked out of him by two of the biggest guys in the WWE currently. But Sister Abigail on Alberto Del Rio and a spear to Sheamus gets the win for Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns, the tag team of Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns. The two of them have a stare down at the end of the match. I'm hoping something went on after the camera stopped rolling, because that's how the show ends. Here's the thing. If you want to play the oddball tag team thing, I know Roman Reigns is the world champion and we should be focused on that until we get it off of him somehow, which isn't going to happen anytime soon. But if they're not going to do Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose as a tag team, which they should, I would kind of accept the fact of Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns as a tag team. Don't ask me why, because there's every single reason why it doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, it's kind of intriguing. It's like the end of this match. You go into this thinking Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns, they're not going to work as a tag team. They're going to implode. Some bullshit and chicanery is going to come off at the end of the match, and it's going to be a big clusterfuck. But I'm almost more intrigued by the fact that that didn't happen, if that makes sense. Going into Payback so far, 1 week out from WrestleMania, Payback is just going to be the after WrestleMania pay-per-view, but it's stacking up pretty good so far. I mean, if we get, right now, we've got Styles versus Roman, we've got Cesaro versus Miz, we're probably going to get Zayn versus Owens, Ambrose versus Jericho, Charlotte versus Natty, I can deal with. We're going to get the end of this tag team tournament thing, plus we're going to see where the introduction of Gallows and Anderson fits into the whole equation. It's a really good start. We've got a couple really good building blocks for this next pay-per-view we've got coming up May 1st. I'm not going to oversell it. I'm not going to exaggerate, but this was a hell of a show, guys. There was a lot in this show for everybody. And Dr. Phil, even though he made no sense being on the show, he was only in there for 2 small bits. Didn't ruin the show for me. Hope it didn't ruin the show for you guys. Hope you guys are as excited about what's going on and the changes that are going on in the WWE right now as I am. But I can only sit here and talk about my excitement. I can't make you agree with me. Anyways, I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.